Domestic abuse is an epidemic, but you really wouldn't know it because domestic abuse is a silent culture. And that silence is why so many suffer alone. This week, I was stressed. I was stressed because I've read two heartbreaking news stories. Two women, two wives, and both of them had been killed by their husbands. And in both cases, call for help had been made more than once. I took these two news stories personally because the truth is that could have been me. I could have been a statistic. But let me tell you that the only reason why I'm here today is because of the grace of God. That's why I'm still here. I was married twice. Husband number one was the violent husband. Vincent, that's not his real name, but we will just call him Vincent. Vincent had been in the Korean War during the 1950s, 1954 is when I think that war ended. And he was going to college on the GI Bill. Vincent was handsome, he was brilliant, and he was older. He had been all the way around the world. I, on the other hand, I was straight out of high school. And I was just as green as this granny apple. Vincent and I met in college. He, however, like many soldiers who were in the Korean War and they were returning home, they looked normal. But there were times when these men would become violent and very difficult to live with. What we didn't know back in the 50s and the 60s was that these soldiers had suffered from severe and unrecognizable post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. And there were times when my husband would go into these violent moods and put my life in jeopardy. One moment he would be perfectly fine. We would be talking and laughing and having a great time. And the next moment, he would become violent and out of control. My husband had purchased a mother of pearl handle switchblade knife when he was overseas. And when he returned home to the States, it became one of his prized possessions. Now, he kept that switchblade knife in his bureau drawer in our bedroom. And every now and then, he would go to that bureau drawer and he would take it out and admire it. I hated guns and I hated knives. I didn't like guns, as I said, but I hated knives even more than guns. And the reason being was that with a gun, you can harm a person from a distance. But with a knife, you have to get up close. Unless you threw that knife as a dagger, you had to get up close on your victim to do bodily harm, to attack them. Therefore, whenever Vincent took that knife out of the drawer, I just cringed. One day, Vincent was not at home, and the Lord spoke to me in a clear and audible voice. That was a time when I did not recognize God's voice, and He was beginning to communicate with me in a spiritual voice. And He said to me, I heard Him say, get rid of that knife. It shocked me because I knew how much Vincent loved that knife. And if I touched that knife and he found out about it, there would be consequences. I mean, serious consequences. But I heard the voice again say to me, get rid of that knife. And I really didn't know what to do. I told you I was young and dumb, as green as this granny apple. And as I stood upstairs in our apartment where we were living, I heard the city trash truck rumbling down the back alley. And in those days, in the 50s and the 60s, the trash truck was very different from the way it is today. The trash truck was like a big box and it was open. And the men that were working with the trash, they would pick up the trash can from the curb and they would hoist it and throw the trash in the open box of the truck. And then the driver would just keep on moving slowly down the street. Suddenly, I knew exactly what to do. And I moved fast. I went into our bedroom, opened that drawer, and I grabbed that mother of pearl switchblade knife. When I touched it, it snapped open. And oh my God, the blade flew out long and sharp and dangerous. And it startled me so badly, I almost dropped the knife, but I didn't. I took it out and I carried it to the kitchen, opened the back door, and stepped onto the landing. From the second floor, I could see everything very easily. I could see the truck coming down the alley, and I could see the men hoisting the trash can and throwing the trash into the truck. Their backs were to me. And in that moment, I made the decision that as that truck came close, I was going to take an aim and throw that knife into the open truck. And that's exactly what I did. I threw the knife, the men's back were to me, and the knife landed right in the middle of the bed of trash. And then it just sunk down and it was gone. As I stood there watching the truck carry that knife away on down the alley, on down to the end of the curb, and it turned, and that knife was being carried away. I cannot explain to you in words what a great relief that flooded all over me. I just can't describe it with words. And I went back inside and continued my chores and forgot all about the knife. Well, about 2 weeks later, Vincent got very upset with me. To this day, I don't know what I did that threw him off in such a rage. I mean, he would have these rages frequently. He would cuss, he would throw things, and he was just fit to be tied. But he had never gone into his bedroom, our bedroom, looked in the bureau drawer for his knife. But this time he did. He looked at me. He didn't say anything, but he went into his bedroom. He looked in the bureau and opened the drawer and began searching for the knife. And all the other times it had been exactly where he had put it because I never touched it. I just didn't touch anything that was this his possessions that he wanted, and he was very particular. I just didn't touch it, but I knew that knife was not there, and so he opened the drawer, expecting the knife to be exactly where he had put it, but it wasn't. And at first, he just searched calmly, and then aggressively, and then violently. He just ripped the drawer right out of the bureau. He threw it down on the floor hard, and he got down on his knees looking for the knife. And he searched and he searched, and he couldn't find it. And then Vincent looked up at me in a puzzled expression on his face. And he didn't say it out loud, but he looked like he thought to himself, that knife is not here. But I know that scared, dumb woman didn't have the nerve to get rid of my knife. So he kept looking for it. Finally, when he couldn't find it, he cursed some more. He picked up the drawer, put all the things back, put it back where it should have been, turned around, went to the living room, turned on the TV, sat down, and started watching it. Just as soon as that evil mood had come over him, it was gone. And he was calm again, as if nothing had happened. I held my breath all the time Vincent was going through his tirade. But for some reason, this time, I wasn't the least bit nervous or afraid. As a matter of fact, I was waiting for Vincent to confront me and ask what I had done with his knife. And I was prepared to tell him everything, but he never asked me. He just underestimated me. I love being underestimated. And Vincent went about his business and it was all over. But I knew it was by the grace of God and only by God's grace that I had survived. God had saved me. And I went into that bathroom and I turned on the water in the tub as full force as it could. And the water came out furiously, and I began to jump and shout in that bathroom, thanking God for saving my life. I will never forget how I felt that day. And as I think back on that time, I realized that sometimes God will whisper a warning that doesn't quite make sense to you at the moment. But if you are obedient and you do what he said, it will save your life later. And that's what happened to me. Well, if this episode resonated with your soul, if this message helped you in any way, I want you to do 3 things for me. Number 1, I want you to like this video. Number 2, I want you to share this video with someone who may be suffering in silence. And number 3, I want you to subscribe for more messages of healing and truth. Go to my website, www.jnvministries.org, and my book is there. It is an ebook that you can download and enjoy. The book is entitled Testimony of a Kept Woman, From Misery to Ministry Instead of the State Penitentiary. This is Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan. And until the next time we're together, to God be the glory.